This is Why Did I Get Married Too? If you haven't seen the first one, check out our recap, but you don't have to see it to get this one. It's a new year and another marriage retreat for the couples. Terry and Diane are overjoyed with the new addition to their family, a son. Diane got surgery to untie her tubes and give Terry another child so that Tyler Perry can continue to hide his sexual orientation. Marcus has finally scored a hosting job on TV for the sports section. Angela hasn't changed a bit, and she confronts Marcus for flirting with a young woman who happens to be his fan.
Me and my dad, we watch it together.
Kelly.
You two are actually the same age.
Ouch.
Angela yells so loud that Terry and Diane are so embarrassed to be seen around her. Sheila and Troy arrive first at the retreat in the Bahamas. Everything looks beautiful, but Troy can't help but worry about the money they spent on the trip. He doesn't have a job, and they just moved to Atlanta. On top of that, they have a baby now. He was fine in the first one, but now he dusty? Lord, please help Sheila through this difficult time. Gavin and Patricia arrive next. Sheila tells Patricia to try and have a kid again, but Patricia avoids the topic. Just then, the two other couples arrive. Both Sheila and Patricia notice that Diane has a different glow. She's very radiant, but she brushes it off. Marcus confides in his friends how much of a nagger Angela is. That's nagger with a hard R. He got a job like she asked him to, but now that he's earning, she still gets angry at him. Troy, being the new addition to the bunch, is quickly fitting in as he talks smack about Angela as well. Meanwhile, the women are having their own conversation inside. Angela admits she once asked Marcus for the password on his phone because she doesn't trust him. But Diane didn't even ask Terry for his, and he voluntarily told her his password. While they're talking, Mike walks into the room, surprising them. He wasn't even invited. He congratulates Sheila for her baby, but Sheila ignores the shiny, bald-headed man. Even the boys are all surprised to see Mike. They didn't expect him to be there, and somehow they are worried that he's going to cause trouble again. Troy's not bothered that he's there, but he's not pleased either. They wonder if Mike brought the trick hoe, but Trina the trick had moved on. The boys head back inside before Mike gets on their nerves. Some of them think they should leave the beach house, but the boys assure their partners that they'll deal with Mike so he won't ruin their vacation. Sheila doesn't want Mike around, but she tells everyone that they spent their last money on the trip and it would be a waste to go home now. After that, Troy confronts Sheila. He doesn't want everyone to know that he doesn't have a job and that they're struggling financially. He gets annoyed that Sheila tells her friends everything. Sheila can't catch a break. When the boys hop in on a boat to fish, Troy decides to stay behind. Mike says his business is doing well, although there is one guy who unalived himself. He wants to tell Sheila about it because Sheila used to say that one guy was quite unstable. Mike keeps talking about how Sheila is a good woman and a kind wife. He asks his friends if Sheila ever asked about him. Mike admits he still misses Sheila now that he's realized how great she was. Gavin tells him to behave himself because Sheila and Troy are happily married, although Troy is jobless and dusty at the moment. Mike is shocked when he hears this, and Terry realizes it was a bad idea telling Mr. Clean the tea. As the women discuss Angela being a control freak, she explains that Marcus has to be controlled or he'll run wild. Patricia reminds her to give him some freedom so their relationship can improve. As they play cards that night, Mike and Troy keep throwing insults at each other in a subtle way. Gavin tries to get Mike to take a walk with him to avoid confrontation, but Mike refuses to leave. Instead, he asks Troy how the job searching is. Although Troy's pissed, Troy calmly tells him,
"Sit there, nurse your little fruit juice, and leave me and mine the hell alone."
Just before going to bed, Marcus comes in looking fine. Angela still envies Diane because Diane knows Terry's password. But even so, Marcus refuses to give his. So Angela mentions what she learned from Patricia's book and twists the words to fit her agenda. Instead of giving in, Marcus pins down his wife and shows her who's boss. And honestly, I need someone to manhandle me like this. While Terry is flirting with his wife, Diane suddenly calls him Dr. Phil. She says she meant to say, "Come fill me up," but Terry's already suspicious. In the other room, Sheila is arguing with Troy. She knows he has a problem, but he doesn't want to talk about it. She thinks Troy's acting like Mike and ignoring him, but Troy assures her that is not the case. Even though he carries a 10-inch, he's feeling small because he is so used to being able to provide. But now he doesn't have a job, and their clothes shop is not doing so well either. Suddenly, Diane hears Gavin and Patricia arguing. She tries to talk to Patricia about it, but she just keeps saying that everything is okay between her and her husband. But Diane sees that she's clearly upset about something. The next day, Mike tries to remind Sheila of the life they had together. But Sheila remembers being called Big Back Fatty Whack by Mike, let alone all the times he was sleeping with Trina the Trick. She was in pain both physically and emotionally. Mike, feeling guilty, apologizes and tries to explain himself, but Sheila tells him off, insisting that she no longer cares about his diabetic-colored neck. While the women are on the beach, they meet a lovely couple who are spreading their friend's ashes, but accidentally toss it onto Angela.
What is this?
The couple is Porter and Ola Jones. Since it's the last day of their retreat, Sheila invites the couple for dinner later that night, an invitation they gladly accept. Diane and Terry are the first to talk about why they got married. Terry announces that there will never be another one for him. Next are Troy and Sheila. While Troy talks about how sad Sheila was when they first met and how he wanted to be her hero, Mike can't help but feel uncomfortable. Patricia and Gavin don't want to talk, and they let their guests speak first. Ola and Porter share their love story. It wasn't perfect, and they married different people. But in the end, they found each other's geriatric selves and have been married for 55 years now. While they're listening, Terry realizes that Diane is giving him the cold shoulder. He doesn't understand why. Then Patricia announces that she and Gavin are getting divorced. Everyone is shocked, but Patricia explains that she and Gavin still love each other, and they just grew apart. After the vacation, the couple quickly talk about how they're going to divide everything. Gavin's lawyer is Phil, and Patricia's is Diane. They agree that they will get half of everything. But Gavin also wants to tap into Patricia's separate account that has $800,000 in it, the sales from the book she wrote.
What page did you write, Gavin? What book tour or lecture were you on?
Gavin insists that he helped Patricia write the book by giving his ideas, by being her case study, and by sticking with her. Patricia refuses to share the money, so Gavin confronts her, saying she kept up the facade that they were a happy couple when in fact, Patricia never loved him. Patricia doesn't want to discuss things and walks out of the room, so now Gavin decides to take the fight to court. One afternoon when Angela returns home, with her foin gardener and her neighbor Mrs. Townerbon, complains about the moaning noises every afternoon on Tuesdays and Thursdays. Angela is pissed because there's no way it was her because she is at work on weekdays. Betty White is messy bringing this up. Angela leaves the kids with the old woman while she pays Marcus a visit at his workplace. The show is currently live, and the kids see their mother as she confronts Marcus on live television in front of everyone. Marcus denies the cheating allegation, but Angela continues to be scandalous. So Marcus finally gives up and tells Angela his cell phone password, which is Angela's birthday. It's difficult for Troy to find a job, and they have 2 mortgages to pay. Sheila wants to borrow money from Patricia and Diane, but Troy is strongly against it. His pride won't let him ask for money, and this pisses Sheila off. Your prideful self should be out flipping burgers. Diane comes home with some flowers. She tells Terry that she bought them, but Terry sees a card holder, which means that the bouquet came with a card initially. Diane reasons that the florist must have made a mistake, but Terry remains suspicious. Later that night, Gavin gets so drunk as he starts to pack his things. Patricia doesn't want to talk to him, so Gavin becomes physical, grabbing and pinning Patricia down, telling her to follow the advice she wrote in her book. Patricia begs him to stop, but Gavin is so intoxicated, he looks like he's about to bite her. Then he burns the only photo album of their dead son. This 180 of Gavin's character is crazy, extremely despicable. Having run out of options, Sheila meets with Mike to ask him for a favor. She knows that Mike is still friends with the chief of police and wants him to help Troy get a job. After this, Sheila and the girls meet up to talk about Patricia and Gavin. But since Diane can't really talk about it for legal purposes, Angela starts to rant about how she knows Marcus is cheating. Apparently, Angela checks every little detail from Marcus's mileage to how long it takes him to get home. It's a full-time job for her, which is probably why her career ain't doing so hot. When Sheila gets home, Troy apologizes to her. He even cooked. It turns out that he finally got a job. Sheila can't tell him that she asked Mike for a favor, especially now that Troy's being vulnerable with his feelings. But the next day, Sheila confronts Mike for calling her house. She's surprised that Mike only called to ask for help. Marcus and Terry come to help Gavin move out. And since Patricia has changed the locks, Gavin breaks the window to get in. When Patricia catches them in the act, she is furious. She gets a golf club and starts to break everything.
You want me crazy?
Wait.
I'll show you crazy. Go!
Even Terry and Marcus can't stop her. Hoping that she can catch Marcus cheating, Angela goes home early, only to shoot up the triflers in her bedroom, but finds the gardener, Alex, breaking the maid's back on her bed. As for the other couple, Terry notices that Diane is going to wear sexy underwear to work. He finally asks her if she's cheating on him with a guy named Philip. He admits that he's been noticing Diane dressing sexy, changing her perfume, and looking happier. Diane finally admits that she's been fantasizing about Philip for some time, but has never slept with him. She apologizes to Terry, but Terry already feels betrayed. When Angela realizes Marcus is not cheating on her, she becomes sweet to him again. But then she finds out he has another cell phone, so she suspects him again of cheating. May this toxic relationship never find me. Doubled and passed on to Ghislaine Maxwell. One time at work, Troy finds out that Mike has helped him get the job. He goes to Mike's house to confront him and finds Sheila inside. He's furious, so he confronts Mike and hits him. Sheila explains that she's only helping Mike because he has cancer, but Troy won't listen to her explanations. Later that night, the women check on Patricia and find her alone in the dark, still crying. The next day, Troy apologizes to Mike for hitting him. Mike assures him that Sheila is loyal and will never cheat on him. Gavin advises everyone to fix their marital problems because going through a divorce is ugly. But Terry explains that a woman cheating is different than when a man cheats. Excuse my finest pardon? After a few days, Patricia visits Gavin's office with a big cake, telling everyone that it's his birthday. Then a Fruit Loop stripper pops out and starts dancing. She wants to embarrass Gavin and prove a point, so Gavin walks out of the building to avoid her. He gets in the car while Patricia continues to nag him. Then suddenly his car gets hit by a truck. Because of this tragic event, Patricia encourages her friends to fix their problems with their spouses. Unfortunately, Gavin dies. A year later, a colleague introduces someone to Patricia. Initially, she's not interested, but the man, Daniel Franklin, quickly gets her attention and asks her out. And what's the moral of the story? Accidentally kill your abusive husband in a terrible car accident so you can end up with The Rock. Honestly, this second movie was a mess. It ruined many of the flawed characters, turned them into people who had non-redeeming qualities. It really does make you wonder, why did these people get married? What did you guys think of this one?
Hey, if you like this video, make sure you subscribe now and turn on the notification because YouTube isn't recommending my videos. And if you like to watch more foolishness, click here or here.